can be crazy, but this story takes that concept to another level, because what happened to this family can happen to any one of us, and it's crazy how vulnerable we are to our family members because of the trust that we have with them. Like, what's up guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm G and we do true crime videos Mondays to Fridays, and this is day 6 of 10 days of terror. So we've been talking about some of the most gruesome crimes committed all around the world, so you might want to check out the playlist if you've missed the previous episode. My usual disclaimer: most of the events I talk about on this channel are things I've read on the internet and just put them into one video. Remember to please leave a like if you enjoyed the video and subscribe, turn on post notifications for more crime stories, I guess. So let's talk about the Starr family. Mark and Diane were college sweethearts. They met in college, fell in love, and decided to get married in 1985. Just 6 months after getting married, they had their first son, Sean, who is going to be the first of the 4 kids they are going to have. Diane worked at a clinic, so she was like a nurse-ish kind of thing, so she knew about medicine and stuff like that. This is important because it's going to play a role later on. And she also played the organ at her church. While Mark was a stay-at-home dad, he loved music and was in a band, so he loved his kids and loved music and probably his family. The couple ended up having 3 more kids who were all girls. At the time of the incident, Sean was already 26 years old. He was autistic. Their next child was 24 years old. This was a girl, Sarah, and she had just graduated college and she was trying to find a job and find somewhere to build a career for herself. And the next one was 22 years old, that is Rachel, and Rachel is going to be so important. So Rachel was still going to school. She was pretty smart, had like A grades all the time, and she was also an artist, so she was kind of the mom's favorite. And they also had an 11-year-old child. On April 8, 2012, the police received a call bringing them to the Starr family house, and the report was someone had died at home, which is like super strange. First of all, this is literally before COVID, so there should be no reason why you wouldn't rush the person to the hospital if there was a problem or there was an accident. That would make sense, but someone had just been sick and died at home, so that's already having like red flags. So the police are trying to figure out why a 60-something-year-old man is going to die randomly at home. And Diane tells the police, this is the wife, she tells the police that he had been sick for the past few days, having like flu-like symptoms, sleeping a lot, unable to eat, and no one thought to take him to the hospital, even she, who is like a nurse. So she continued to tell the police that she had just been checking on him, and the incident happened, she had actually been checking on him a couple of times, and every time she checked on him, he was just unresponsive, not talking, but he was really down, and he had 3 seizures that day. That's seizures that he's not used to having. He has had 3 seizures that day, and the police are like, why did you not take him to the hospital? And he literally had a seizure 45 minutes before she came to check on him the last time, and he had just passed on. The police are like, why did you not take him to the hospital? Why did no one call for help? And her response was, he had refused. He did not want to go to the hospital. Imagine how stupid that sounds. This is your husband we are talking about, and no matter what garbage they have said about not going to the hospital, you literally see them die. You're definitely going to want to take action if you're someone who actually cares about that person. I mean, even if you take them to the hospital against their will and they are fine, you guys are going to have that argument later. But Diane was like, nah, he did not want to go to the hospital, so I respected his wishes, and now he's dead. Oops. So they examined Mark's body and nothing seemed to be out of the ordinary, so they decided to rule the death as an accident. And then Diane went a step further and was like, hey, we have to have him cremated, and she cremated his body as soon as she could, so no autopsy or second autopsy would ever be done in case anyone found out about something later. I guess antifreeze was not amongst the things you're supposed to check for in an autopsy at that time, or maybe it still isn't. What do you guys think? Please let me know, because I don't know the type of chemicals you're supposed to check, but I don't think that was one of it. So after Mark's death, Diane made a really weird post on Facebook that was just like, let not your hearts be troubled. Soon you'll soon come to rest. Like, it was not this type of emotional, oh my gosh, I just lost my husband, I feel like killing myself or something like that. But it was just a post that no one could make sense out of it. And so her followers were like weirded out by it. They were not sure what to think about such a post. Also, at her husband's funeral, she was just like having a party and just like, hey, are you fine, are you okay? That it's not like this widow who has lost her husband and is so deeply heartbroken. She was just having a good time and making sure her guests were enjoying the party instead of being consoled by the guests. So those were just some weird behaviors that everyone noticed around her. After the funeral, Diane was able to get hold of Matt's insurance money and she sold the house they lived in, and they were able to buy a bigger house in a better part of town, and the family kind of leveled up, I would say. So it's already weird. Probably some people will not want to leave all of the memories they have had, because she's been married to this guy for like more than 20 years now. People would not want to leave the memories of what they have shared in that house, but that was what Diane felt like doing. And so after moving to this next house, just 5 months after Mark had passed away, there was yet another death. So the police were called again here to the Stout family's house, and they were told that Sean has stopped breathing. So this is the first son, Sean. He had just stopped breathing, and this is what Diane explained to the police. He had been having just yada yada yada, what we have said before. He had been having flu-like symptoms. He had been sick for a couple of days, even weeks, and she had been checking on him, but that day she had not seen him for probably more than 14 hours, because she only came back from church at about 12 something and went to check on him, and he was lying down on the floor not breathing. So she had gone to bed and gone to church and come back and had not seen him. So at this point, I don't know how long he has been dead for. And John had also had seizures, but he already had a history of having seizures, so that was already on the books. But it was literally the same thing that happened to her husband. What really gets to me is the fact that she was literally from church, from playing the organ, like, and you'd see the things she had done to this family, to her family members later. Sean's body was examined by a medical examiner, and they found no foul play, and given that he has had seizures before, so they just ruled that he died from natural causes and prior illnesses. Just like Mark's body, Diane made sure that Sean was cremated as soon as possible, and so he was all in ashes. No autopsy can be done later on. A few months after that, the police had their first tip telling them that Diane had poisoned her son and her husband, but no death was ruled as a homicide, so the police have no idea what they're going to be. Like, they have no cause to go and question her or anything like that. Some weeks after Sean's death, Diane posted something on Facebook. Today we remember Sean. May we now have the peace he now enjoys. So it's just really weird to talk about having the peace someone who is no longer with you enjoys. But this is going to be important when you guys find out why she did what she did. So I watched one of the interviews when one of the neighbor was explaining to a journalist how she reacted when her son died. So when the police were outside of the house and everything was happening, the neighbor went to check on her, like, what's happening, and she was like, nah, her son died. It's just, she said it so casually. Even the neighbor was shocked. She was like, okay, but you're saying it so casually. She's not like heartbroken and torn or anything, but she was just so cool about it, like just yesterday's news. A few weeks after Sean's death, Rachel took to Facebook and posted about she has not seen her mom so chilled in a long while. I mean, chilled is not a feeling you feel after losing a husband and a son within the space of 5 months. But that goes to show what Rachel knew about everything that was happening. So let's move over to the next year, June 2013. That's just Mark died in February, Sean died in September, and now Sarah in 2013, in June of 2013, is really sick, and they brought her to the hospital, and the doctors are trying to find out what exactly is wrong with her, and they're unable to find anything. The doctors ran all the tests they could, but they saw that she's just weak and getting weaker, and they're unable to find out what's wrong with her. So the doctor suggested that she might have been poisoned. Sarah is going to be so sick and spend an entire month at the hospital fighting for her life, and she's going to survive the poisoning, but she'll leave the hospital with life-changing damages that can never be repaired. So after Sarah was admitted at the hospital, the police yet again received, this is the second tip they received, and the person said that he believes Diane had poisoned both her husband and her son, and has also poisoned Sarah. This anonymous tip ended up coming from the pastor where she used to go to church to play the organ. Thank God for him, I guess. When the police got to speak with the pastor, he said that his reasoning behind that was he had already become suspicious after Sean died, because Diane's mood was just, she showed no emotion to losing her husband and her son, and that was disturbing to him. But when Sarah was sick and was at the hospital, she literally placed the organ at the church, so at least the pastor is going to know her. She's going to have some sort of a relationship with him. If your daughter is sick and dying, you're probably going to go for like spiritual help, or I don't know, some comfort, some counseling or something. And he had no clue that Sarah was in the hospital. He actually found out about Sarah being in the hospital from someone else, so he knew that something is going on there. So the police began to look into it seriously. They went to the hospital to check on Sarah and asked the people who had been taking care of Sarah to see like how has Diane been behaving every time she came there. And the nurses were like, she has not shown that much concern for a mom whose daughter is literally fighting for her life. She was always just jovial with people, just like she was at the funeral, just chatting with people, laughing and just being so cool about it. And she, wait for this, she had told people that she's going to go on a vacation that she had planned. So you know when you make plans that next Christmas I'm going to so and so, and then something comes up and you cancel those plans. Yeah, her daughter fighting for her life was not enough reason for her to change those plans. So she was planning to go on that vacation. Like, how would you even have fun knowing that you might not meet your daughter when you go back? So that was really suspicious, and they told the police about it. So the police got enough and they decided to bring Diane in for questioning, and she was the first one to come up with the antifreeze theory to the police. Like, criminals should do better. No, they shouldn't do better so they can get caught, but like, this was really stupid of her to talk about it. So this is the story she first told the police. She told them she was aware that 3 members of her family were drinking antifreeze, and she was so mad at them. Like, she was so pissed, and she decided to punish them. That's the reason why she waited longer to take Sarah to the hospital. Like, and it's just really stupid saying it and listening to it, but these were her words during the interview. And it's just stupid because if they are drinking antifreeze, first off, you discover something like that, you're not going to throw it away, take it out of their reach and punish them and be mad at them, but you let them keep drinking it and then punish them by not taking them to the hospital. It's like, yeah, so no one bought that, obviously. After the police continued pressing hard on her with their interrogation, she decided to tell the police the truth, that she had poisoned her husband, her son, and Sarah with antifreeze, and she had just slipped it into their drinks, and that's why they both died and Sarah was in the hospital. And she took all the blame for this herself. She did not include her daughter Rachel. It's going to come up later, but she told the police that that was what she did and the reason why she did it. So her reasoning was they were scattered, they just trashed the house, they were not helpful, they were not doing anything. She just needed to get rid of them. But like, is that bad? Was that something bad that she did? Oh my gosh, I'm a terrible mom. These are her words. So Rachel was her favorite child, and Rachel had done no wrong in her eyes, but Sean always got in her way, and she was just explaining what being a parent is like, having kids always in your face and you don't have your personal space. So her kids were being kids, and she decided to take them out because she was done. Like, she said she was so tired, it was just like she would have to be pulling her hair, but she just had to get rid of them. The crazy part is she literally researched this. She researched the type of antifreeze to get, and she researched everything. Like, the point where you come to like, okay, this child is annoying, I'm going to get rid of him, how do I do it, and go and search the type of antifreeze. She ordered a special antifreeze that is going to mimic the taste when she puts it into their drinks. This took a lot of time and planning to come up with the perfect way to murder her family. This is what she told the police: I'm not a perpetual killer, I'm just stupid. Stupid? I regret doing it, I really do. I screwed up everybody, I screwed up my whole family. No, you didn't. You murdered your entire family, her own family. Like, what else is she going to look forward to? So the police went to Rachel, and interviewed her, and first off, Rachel had nothing to say. Like, she was like, oh my gosh, this is so crazy, how could she do something like that? Like, she's confused like everyone. And later on, the police interviewed her again. I believe it's after seeing her diary, because in her diary she had an entry that was like a year before Mark died. In this entry, she had something like, in about 2 months Dad is going to be gone, but like it's for the better. And she was just talking about how they were planning to commit the murder at that time. So the police interviewed her for the second time, and she explained to them how they did the poisoning. So it was just really easy for them. For someone like Sarah, she said she was always on her computer a lot, and should be on sites like YouTube, probably as I am right now, and she would have a drink beside her, and she's just going to take her drink because she's so distracted with YouTube. She'll just take her drink, pour some out, pour in the antifreeze, and it's going to be gone. And so the police asked them, why did you decide to take Sarah to the hospital? And Rachel had the balls to tell the police that it's just because she did not want, this were her words, I didn't want another one to die in the house. Like, this is your family. And she's like, I didn't want another one to die in the house. And when the police asked why, she said, because it's so nasty when they die in the house, so that's why they took her to the hospital, to probably go and die there. And she literally laughed, like she tried to giggle a little between saying that. It's unbelievable. Anne's explanation for wanting to kill Sarah was just because she did not have a job, she was not bringing money in, and so she was just a nuisance to her. And that's why she wanted her gun. And when the police asked Rachel about her own reason for wanting to kill her family, she said that for her dad, she just wanted peace. Yeah, he needed to go so she can have peace. And for Sean, he was annoying. He was just really annoying. So if you're annoying to your sibling, some antifreeze is coming your way, I guess. And sorry, don't do that. And for Sarah was just nosy, so she needed her gun. Rachel and Diane were both charged with first-degree murder, 2 counts of first-degree murder because their dad and Sean, and first-degree assault with Sarah. In 2015, Rachel took a plea deal, pleading it down to 2 counts of second-degree murder. So she pled it down, and she was going to testify against her mom. Rachel ended up getting 2 counts of life in prison for the murders of her dad and her brother, and for poisoning Sarah, she got 20 years. So she would be in prison for a little while, and she would not be leaving until she has served 40 years. So she'll probably be about her father's age. He died at 61, she'll probably be like 62. So yeah, if that's if she gets parole. Diane was eligible for the death penalty, so to avoid that, she decided to plead guilty, and so Rachel would never have to testify against her after all. She decided to plead guilty, so she pled guilty to second-degree murders for her husband and her son, and she ended up getting 3 life sentences, so she's never going to live, and 0 possibility of parole, so she's just going to live in prison for the rest of her life. Think about her husband and her son and her daughter whose life she ruined. The reason why Diane was given this opportunity was because the prosecution wanted to make sure that nothing goes wrong in trial, because if they were going for the death penalty, she might have been able to plead for an appeal or try to do something else later on and probably wiggle her way out of getting a death penalty or getting life. So they just wanted her to live the rest of her life in prison, and they got it. So they just went on with that deal. Because of the extended period Sarah spent at the hospital fighting for her life and the enormous brain injury that she suffered because of that poisoning, she's always going to need taken care of, and she has lost almost her entire family. Her dad and her brother are gone. She almost lost her life. She has suffered permanent brain damages, and she wouldn't even be able to look after her younger sister by herself. Like, they have taken so much from her, but at their trial, she actually had the heart to forgive them. That is such an angelic heart. I find this story really sad because family and your home is where you're supposed to feel safe, protected, and the people around you are supposed to be the people who love you and keep you safe. And to feel like these guys died in their own house, poisoned by their own family members, it's just insane. And the youngest daughter had to stay in foster care because her sister could not take care of her. Sarah is going to need assistance for the rest of her life, and even if Rachel comes out at 60 something, she's literally living there to go into the home for the old. And for what reason? They did all of this because they wanted space, they wanted peace. They live in prison now where you don't get space and you definitely don't get peace. It was just really stupid, and it pissed me off so much. But that was it for me today, guys. Let me know in the comments what cases you would like me to cover next, and see you guys tomorrow with another video just like this. Remember to be the best version of yourself, and see you tomorrow.